not necessarily the foothills. So the fire zone is still definitely dry today, and I don't anticipate any showers there. As mentioned, most of this activity in the San Luis Valley and the upper Arkansas River, and that's where it's expected to stay. As far as the storm motion, very slowly towards the south. Again, the fire zone here in southwestern Pueblo County likely to get missed tonight. But these daily mountain storms are going to continue, and we have even better moisture on the way further east next week. So through the weekend, most of the storms will be out west, but here for I-25, we are looking at a good chance of rain into next week. I'll talk about this upcoming pattern change in more detail in just a few minutes. Entire U.S. and our high temperatures will even be increasing through the next few days. The forecast is next. Warm outside, not only here in Colorado, but across most of the country as this ridge of high pressure has just set up camp. It's not really going to move much, but it's going to shift a little bit back towards Colorado in the next few days. So what you're going to notice is that as that high moves overhead, our temperatures are going to subtly climb each and every day and then peak over the weekend in the 90s here in Colorado Springs before we see a pretty significant cool down into next week. And this cool down comes with rain chances. So I'll talk about this incoming moisture in just a moment, but let's first talk about temperatures. Outside right now, the mountains have had more shower activity today and a lot more cloud cover, so it's a lot cooler there in the 70s, but in the 80s and 90s, definitely feeling like mid-July. Our wind has been a bit breezy this afternoon. It's coming out of the east-southeast. We're gusting anywhere from about 20 to as high as about 35 miles per hour. Looks like Trinidad recently had pretty strong wind gusts in the 40-mile-per-hour range. Winds will ease up tonight. Temperatures, of course, will drop, and tomorrow morning looks really comfortable as we fall to the 50s and 60s. That will be near average for our overnight temperatures. And then tomorrow afternoon, another hot one for us. 70s and 80s in the mountains, 80s and 90s in the plains. In general, the plains will have another very sunny afternoon. The mountains will have a few extra clouds and a few more spotty showers. So let's talk about the shower activity. Right now, it's mostly west of the Continental Divide. However, a few showers have made it east of that boundary today, mostly in Park County, northwestern Fremont County, over the Sangre de Cristo mountain range and in the San Luis Valley. So this is really great to see these showers and storms. Not raining over the Aspen Acres fire, but there is a chance of that as we look ahead, especially to next week. Really, most of the moisture for the rest of this week and into the weekend will stay out west, and generally the plains will be in the dry zone. But this is some of the region, some of the areas of Colorado that have the worst drought conditions, especially towards Vail, Aspen. So we really need to see these showers, and we have a daily occurrence of them because we have this nice monsoon plume coming into the Four Corners region. But the dry air is still in place over eastern Colorado. However, once that high shifts a little bit, it should get in a good position to allow that monsoon moisture to move east far enough to actually give us some moisture here on the east side of the state. So that above that just barely so far this week. It's definitely been a breezy day though. Wind has been out of the southeast pretty consistently around 10 to 15 miles per hour, but gusting from 20 to 30 miles per hour. So as far as the weather conditions go, most of us are dry today. However, there are some showers. They are going to miss the fire zone today, but this is at least a sign of some changes to come. We will have some interior mountain rain showers for the rest of this evening. Again, mostly Park County, high elevations of Fremont County, the San Luis Valley, the northern Sangres, but not at the Aspen Acres fire. As we progress through the rest of the week, most of the showers should stay up into the mountains, but into next week, we finally get some moisture here locally, and this moisture on several fires burning in the state should be very beneficial. I'll talk more about this upcoming rain potential coming up in a few minutes.
Alex,
Thank you. A reminder lines of our ridge of high pressure, the heat dome over the U.S. And this is what that is. You can see overall our weather pattern is dominated by this ridge of high pressure, and it's encompassing the entire U.S. But it shifts and it moves a bit, and that does impact our weather. What I'm watching for the rest of this week heading into the weekend is the center of that high shifts back over Colorado. So what that means for us temperature wise is our highs will start to increase, peaking over the weekend when that ridge is right overhead. So we do have some 90s in store Saturday, Sunday, Monday here in Colorado Springs. We are going to get some heat relief though by next week, because as that high also shifts, it's going to switch our monsoon flow. So the monsoon, North American monsoon pattern, is defined as a wind pattern that pulls in moisture from Mexico and the Pacific Ocean, and it pulls it in around a high pressure ridge. Now, for the time being, all that moisture is in western Colorado, but as that high shifts towards Texas next week, it opens up this plume to include eastern Colorado. So next week gives us some much better chances of rain here on the eastern side of the state. Especially, I'm thinking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday looks like good rain chances here for I-25, the eastern plains, and we'll have pretty much daily thunderstorm chances, at least in the mountains. So starting with temperatures today and that heat, it was 88 in the Springs, 96 in Pueblo, just a touch above average. We're going to drop to the 50s and 60s here tonight, and tomorrow will be again near average, but we're starting to see those temperatures climb towards the weekend. There is moisture around this high, but again, it is mostly up into the mountains this afternoon, west of I-25. The San Luis Valley is a good hot spot for the showers here for the rest of the region, for the rest of the evening. And then those storms really just stay up into the mountains for the rest of this week until that high pressure pattern shifts enough to give us some moisture into the plains. It does look to bring some rain to the fire zone, but it's kind of excruciating to watch radar this afternoon because it's just out of reach. Most of the shower activity is in the San Luis Valley, the northern Sangre de Cristo mountain range, upper Arkansas River, nothing at the fire zone. And in general, it's just going to be hot and dry for the rest of this week. You can see the smoke plumes still from our Pueblo Skycam. Fire definitely still active this afternoon. In Pueblo, it's 93 degrees with 22-mile-per-hour wind gusts. In Beulah, it's 87. Wind is out of the southeast, gusting up to 21 miles per hour right now. Humidity is all right, 21%. As mentioned, it's just going to be mostly west of the fire that we see the showers today, and really for the rest of the week, shower activity stays up into the mountains. But there is some hope in sight. We've got our Beulah Skycast here. It will be sunny through the weekend, but then next week we get a solid plume of monsoon moisture coming our way, and we'll have a couple days with good rain chances. I'll highlight that coming up in more detail. Seeing some headlines about this big dome of heat over the U.S. and this is what it is, a ridge of high pressure. This is our dominant weather pattern. It's covering the entirety of the U.S. But of course, it's different compared to where you are in comparison to that ridge of high pressure. When the center of that high pressure is over your head, that's when you get the maximum sinking air, the maximum heating effect. And that's going to happen to us by the end of the week into the weekend. So you'll notice our temperatures are going to start to climb as that high pressure shifts a little bit. Will be especially hot Saturday, Sunday, Monday in Colorado Springs in the 90s. Now today we were definitely warm but close to average. 88 was our high in the Springs, 96 in Pueblo, just a degree or two above seasonal. Our temperatures tonight will drop to the 50s and 60s. Tomorrow, similar. 80s and 90s for the plains, 70s and 80s in the mountains. So on the other side of things, this high pressure will steer the moisture across the U.S. For now, we have this dry slot of air under the high in eastern Colorado, but it is pulling in some moisture to the Four Corners region with this monsoon pattern. So the North American monsoon really is defined by high pressure to our east and this weather pattern flow around that high, pulling in moisture from the Mexican Plateau and the Pacific Ocean, and that looks to open up for us by next week as the high shifts further south and east of us. So we will see an uptick in moisture here in eastern Colorado finally by next week. But for the next couple of days, western Colorado gets some good moisture for the time being. In Colorado Springs, storm chances start to increase starting Monday. As I mentioned, though, there is moisture in the high country, and it's mostly centered around the San Luis Valley here this evening, as well as the San Juans between Telluride and Montrose. And the shower activity should stay mostly west of the Continental Divide in the next couple of days, with a few showers making their way towards the Sangre de Cristo mountain range, maybe into our foothills in Park County, Fremont County. But generally, it's not until next week that we finally see that good plume of monsoon flow into the east side of the state. Weather here at News 5 and the First Alert 5 weather team. And recently, I went to the Garden of the Gods to talk with people about their summertime weather concerns. News is that I don't see significant precipitation at the Aspen Acres fire in the next few days, but next week I do see some solid chances of that. And we did have some good rain today in Colorado, notably over the San Luis Valley and the upper Arkansas River zone. But the fire zone dry today, as well as most of the plains. So in Beulah, it's going to be a sunny next couple of days, but then next week is where I see that increase in moisture available, and afternoon thunderstorms will become a near daily chance. So in the next 3 days, most of the rain will be falling up into the interior mountains. But in the next 7 days, we're making a return to Colorado this week and next week. I will show you how that moisture moves through the state next in the Super 7-day forecast. Warm July day, temperatures just a little bit above average this afternoon, up to 88 in Colorado Springs and 96 in Pueblo. What you're going to notice as we progress through the week and into the weekend is that our temperatures will subtly increase, and then we're going to be pretty toasty Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in the 90s in Colorado Springs. And that's because of our heat dome, our ridge of high pressure. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, because depending on where the center of this high is where the hottest temperatures are. And it does look to shift a little bit further west as we head into the weekend, which is why we're seeing temperatures back on the rise. So in general, that's how our temperatures will respond to that high pressure. I'll talk about how our storm chances respond to this high pressure motion in a little bit, but let's talk about tomorrow's temperatures. 50s and 60s for us in the morning. Beautiful start to the day, but then we quickly warm up. We'll be near average or slightly above average in the plains. 80s and 90s, 70s and 80s for the mountains, a little extra cloud cover in the high country, and a little extra moisture to work with. As far as Friday goes, again, very similar, but maybe a little bit warmer by a degree or two. Plenty of sunshine in the plains, little extra cloud cover in the higher elevations. So let's talk about the water vapor in the atmosphere right now. In the center of the high pressure, we are very dry, but around the ridge, we are seeing moisture. And this moisture flow is a nice monsoon pattern for us. Typically, to get a monsoon flow, we need high pressure to our south and east, and that helps to pull in extra water vapor from the Mexico Plateau, the Pacific Ocean, and the monsoon is defined by that wind flow and this upper air pattern. It's not defined as a torrential downpour, but that's oftentimes what can happen. And so as we look ahead to next week, once we get that monsoon plume to open up to eastern Colorado, we'll have daily thunderstorm chances, and it all really depends on where that high pressure goes. We want it over Texas to see that. And so confidence is increasing for good storm chances next week for the eastern side of the state. But in the meantime, we do have moisture in Colorado, but it's mostly on the western side of the state. Some showers are lingering tonight, but they're starting to wrap up. Again, tomorrow, we'll likely see scattered afternoon showers and storms favoring the mountains and definitely favoring the San Luis Valley and the upper Arkansas River in our area. Again, on Friday,